Hello and welcome. Today is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, and this is the special governing board meeting of the Litchfield Elementary School District. I am serving as temporary president this evening in the absence of Board President Melissa Zeidema. I hereby call this meeting to order. We will begin, as always, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me and stand if you are able. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now observe a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is item 3, public comment. I believe we do not have any public comment this evening, so we will move on to item 4, adoption of agenda and approval of consent agenda. I will ask my fellow board members if they have any items they would like to remove from the agenda. Board Member Owens?
I do not.
Board Member Mikes?
None for me.
Board Member Wallace?
None for me.
None for me as well. So I will entertain a motion.
I move to adopt the consent agenda items as presented.
I second.
Having a first from Board Member Owens and a second from Board Member Wallace, I will call for the vote. Board Member Owens.
Yay.
Board Member Mikes.
Yay.
Board Member Wallace.
Yay.
I am also a yay. Motion passes. We will now move on to our action items. The first is action 7.1, annual audit, which will be presented by Superintendent Davidson.
No, ma'am, Ms. Moran, I just wanted to
sorry.
let you know that Mr. Vaughn is here with us electronically tonight. And so he is available, as well as our partner, I believe, from Heinfeld and Beach. So thank you.
The floor is to CFO Vaughn.
Madam President, members of the governing board, Superintendent Davidson, colleagues and community, thank you for joining us tonight to discuss the district's annual financial and USFR compliance audits for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Joining me tonight to lead the discussion is Eric Taylor, partner of Heinfeld Meach, the external audit firm that audits the district. At this point, I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Taylor for his discussion of the audit.
Members of the board, thank you for, can you hear me? It's green.
Technical.
I think they're all shut up.
Test. Okay. Members of the board, thank you for allowing me to be here with you today. We did complete the audit for the district this year, and as usual, it went very well thanks to Mr. Vaughn and his staff. The district on the financial statements received an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can get. That means we believe the financial statements are stated materially correct. We also performed a federal compliance audit, and we tested your ESSER grant this year, and there were no federal findings in that. And your financial statements had no findings that rose to a significant deficiency or material weakness to go in the single audit report. So that's excellent. And we also conducted a state compliance audit, and that's the USFR compliance questionnaire. The district had only 6 deficiencies of non-compliance. And to compare that, of all our districts that we audit throughout the state, the average is 15. So that's very good result. So with that, I can answer any questions you might have about the audit.
Board Member Owens.
Yeah, I have no questions. Thanks.
Board Member Mikes.
No questions for me.
Wallace?
No questions.
I don't have any questions either, but I would like to say, as a former external auditor myself, that we've always done a good job in this district. And I know that CFO Vaughn and his team put in a lot of time and effort so that it makes your job easier to provide the information that's needed. And I was happy to hear that everything was presented fairly. I know some members of the public, recently, there have been some other districts here locally that have had run into some financial trouble. And part of that warning system is the external auditors and the reports that they provide. And those other districts, or that one in particular, did have some warnings ahead of time. And so this is I think, a great testament to the fiscal responsibility that our administration provides, that we get a presented fairly opinion and unmodified opinion with no material misstatements from our external auditors. With that, I will entertain a motion.
I move to accept the 2024 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report and the external auditor's compliance findings as presented.
I will second.
Having a first from Board Member Owens and a second from Board Member Mikes, I will call for the vote. Board Member Owens.
Yay.
Board Member Mikes.
Yay.
Board Member Wallace.
Yay.
I am also a yay. Motion passes. Thank you for your presentation. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Next up is action item 7.2, approval of the guaranteed maximum price for Troy Gilbert Elementary School. And this will be presented by Director Ensign. Okay.
Good evening, Ms. Moran, members of the governing board. We're pleased to present with you GMP number 3 for Troy Gilbert Elementary School. This is the final GMP, so we thought we would give you a little bit of an update on where we're at. Here's where we are. Where we've been. We have the demographic study that approved the acceptance of needing a new school. We had a voter approved bond. The site selection and boundary changes occurred. The governing board approved to hire the architect and the CMRS contractor. Community input meetings occurred throughout the district. The guaranteed maximum price number 1 was for long lead items that occurred about a year ago. The schematic design development, and construction documents have occurred. Guaranteed maximum price number 2 was approved this previous governing board meeting. That included site prep, clearing the site, and additional long lead items. Our next step is guaranteed maximum price number 3, which is being presented tonight. We are also working on land acquisition. That's basically just closing on the property. The school facilities oversight board will be approving our adjacent ways verification, assuming that we're submitting for our adjacent ways properly and per statute. That was submitted this morning to them for review. Construction start is spring of 2025. You're going to see some trailers out on the site any day now. Construction completion in summer of 2026. And I'm told that school opens in August of 2026. So we're right on board for that. Here's the entire district. The bright yellow star at the top is Troy Gilbert Elementary School site. It's at the corner of Glendale and Perryville. There's a shot of the site from the northwest corner. And this is the site as it stands right now that's going in for permitting. We're still working on the permits. You can see in the blue, those are all of the buildings. And the green is the field. As you can see in those red little squares, that is your parent drop-off. One of the most important things for many of our parents. As you can see, we have a double pickup zone, which we've kind of done at Belen Soto and Verado Heritage and continuing that, along with plenty of parking. To the north is your school bus route where they're going to come in and leave. So they're completely separate from the parents. Several trees, some landscaping, lots of sidewalks, and plenty of shade throughout. You may have seen these previously. Here's a street view and some courtyard views of the site. These are just renderings from the architect, so colors and actual elements may be changed just here and there. Here's a shot of a typical classroom. You see the chairs and the tables. The cabinetry will look very similar to what we're used to seeing in a lot of our campuses. There's the front office. That is, like I said, a rendering, so it may not look exactly like this with the coloring or with that dolphin you see in the corner. I'm assuming that's not going to be there. Some elements that we did consider during the design, CPTED, the crime prevention through environmental design. That was a very big impact on our campus. Safe routes to schools, to make sure that our students can get in and out of the campus safely and efficiently. Efficient use of spaces. Fiscal responsibility, we were able to come in right on budget from what we were expecting on this project. District and state standards, energy and water conservation, placement of plants, amount of turf, things like that. Support departments from our food service, IT, community education. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few, transportation, all had impacts on the site. And finally, is it right for students? Making sure that what we're doing, what we're building, and how we're designing it, is it right for our students? And of course, I've said it before, the hundreds of thousands of decisions that have been made up to this point just to get off the ground is mind-boggling when you sit and think about how many people have worked on this project, designers, engineers, city officials, fire departments. It's quite the group of people. As you know, we did select the name of the school. Mr. Janke was a great part of that. Major Troy Gilbert Elementary. And you've heard this already and you've read it before. We're excited to be able to open this school with a great namesake. And plenty of elements will be brought throughout that campus in his honor. And we've already saw this slide. Any questions for myself, Mr. Janke, or Mr. Stone?
Board Member Owens?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. Excited for it to get going.
Board Member Mikes?
No questions for me,
Oh,
thank you.
excellent.
Board Member Wallace?
I have no questions, but I am also excited about our tentative Earth Day groundbreaking. That sounds
Wait,
great.
What? Has that been discussed? A date?
Members of the governing board. Yes, we have decided on a date, which is April 22nd. That'll be also in a save the dates
Yeah, I'm not in the
section.
country.
You'll be out of the country.
Yeah, I'm not in the country.
Okay. We will,
This is the first I'm hearing about this date, I think.
yeah. It was just, we just confirmed that date here earlier with our colleagues on the on what date we were able to do it with our core representatives and DLR who we're coordinating the groundbreaking with. There will be some on the this Friday's board report. We'll have that and a few other save the dates that are coming up here in the next couple months.
Okay, great. I don't have any questions on this, but I do just want to comment that I know this is an action item and I think we're going to talk about adjacent ways. But before we get to that, I want to say just for public knowledge that this is a big dollar amount that we're approving tonight. However, it's been in discussions for almost a year now. Really longer than that, but in more detailed discussions for over a year. So we have put a lot of hours and time into this entire project, as Director Ensign commented as well. And lots of teamwork has gone into this, and many people have gone into the decision-making process. I would appreciate Principal Jenke, an update. Do you have an update on like mascot and colors and all of that? I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, so that's actually what I was going to talk about next. So after we finally chose the name, the next part was to go out to stakeholders and get some ideas on what some possible mascots and then colors would be. So after we solicited some impact or some feedback on that, one of the names that was brought up would possibly be Thunderbolts, which is the mascot of the 56th Fighter Wing and all the airmen that are at Luke Air Force Base. Another idea was to be the Trojans, which means mighty warrior, which is also Major Gilbert's call sign. Another idea was the Jets, which that mascot would cover all the planes that have flown at Luke and that will fly from Luke. Another idea that was brought up was the Guardians, which certainly would embody what Major Gilbert did as he protected others, and what our airmen do from Luke. And what we finally landed on was the Aviators. So we felt like that embodies also what Major Gilbert is. And then just to try to really line things up, we are going to be a school that's built on leadership. And we felt like airmen and aviators are leaders. So we felt that lined up well. And then the colors are going to be the Air Force colors, which are blue and then a grayish silver.
Excellent. Thank you. Does anyone have any further questions or comments before we move to adjacent ways?
I just have actually just one question, and this is, I mean, I'm newer into the process with all this stuff, but I was just, maybe you could verbalize the size of the school population wise is what it's being built for is about what?
About 1,050
Okay.
is what we're looking for as far as students go.
Okay.
That'll go up and down depending on programming.
Okay. All right. And then as far as the additional piece with, oh, I lost my train of thought. So K8, it's built just over 1,000. And if I think of my other question, I'm going to come back to it, but I'm going to write it down next time. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think we're ready to move on to the adjacent ways portion. Will that be CFO Vaughn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I do want to make it clear that I'm talking about adjacent ways tonight for information purposes. The approval that's going on tonight is simply for the third GMP, but I did want to get this adjacent ways information in front of the governing board and the community, and that'll become clear as to why in just a moment. So adjacent ways is a fund districts can utilize to pay for expenditures that assist with entry and exit off of district property, and many times the improvements do not remain property of the district. At our last update, we had shared that our adjacent ways estimates were not fully accurate due to unforeseen complications with the site, including having to complete a half street leading up to the school and major sewer improvements. Would you mind switching the slide for me? While the Adjacent Ways Fund can be utilized for those purposes, adjacent ways funds do have to be generated before they're used. Adjacent ways resources are generated through a primary property tax in Maricopa County, and it is truly prudent financial management on the district's part to engage in the adjacent ways process. This is because if you think about the major examples I gave on the last slide, such as a street or sewer, these are improvements that will be owned by others after the project. We simply are required to construct them. We are always very mindful of the tax rates, though, so let's take a look at what we think the adjacent ways levy may look like throughout the project for our taxpayers. If you could switch the slide, that'd be great. Thank you. There are parts of the district's primary property tax rate that we cannot calculate at this point due to where we are in the state budget cycle. However, this slide shows the parts we can speak to. This year, we levied $1 million in adjacent ways, and there was 1.2 million levied to help pay for the quasi-Meyer tax settlement. Next year, given governing board approval, we plan to levy $2 million in adjacent ways to support construction of Troy Gilbert. Despite the increased in adjacent ways levy due to the one-time nature of the Quasmeyer levy and increased assessed valuation, the primary property tax rate should still go down given all the factors we know to this point. In the final year of the project, we believe we would need to levy $1 million, and the property tax rate from adjacent ways should cut in half. Next slide, please. The adjacent ways process must follow a very prescribed legal timeline with very little flexibility. I've outlined that timeline on the slide. It begins with publishing advertising and notifying all newspapers in the district of our intent to hold a public hearing at least 10 days, but not more than 20 days prior to the hearing, and holding a truth in taxation hearing and voting on the levy within 3 days and mailing it the results to the Property Tax Oversight Commission. At this time, I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
Board Member Owen? What? Board Member? My mic's not working.
No, I have no question.
I don't,
Check. Oh, there we go. I have no questions.
Board Member Wallace?
No questions. Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to comment that I appreciate this being brought to the public's attention because as CFO Vaughn noted, we will not be voting on this as a board until June, but this will impact taxpayers' tax bill as these adjacent ways as the schedule is implemented over time. And so I think it's always important to give the public more time to digest these things that are going to impact the property tax rates. Any further questions or comments on this item? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve, right? The guaranteed maximum price, number 3, with core construction as presented.
I'll second.
Having a first from Board Member Owens and a second from Board Member Mikes, I will call for the vote. Board Member Owens.
Yay.
Board Member Mikes.
Yay.
Board Member Wallace.
Yay.
I am also a yay. Motion passes. Congratulations. Very exciting. That's the big piece of the new school. Next on our agenda is item 8, discussion items. We will start with item 8.1, which is a first read of selected sections from chapter 4.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the governing board. In chapter 4, there is actually only one item that we have made changes to. That is 4.4-202, staff student boundaries. And the other ones that are presented for first read, there were no additional changes. I stand for any questions that you might have.
Board Member Owens.
I have none. Thank you. None.
Board Member Mikes.
None for me.
Board Member Wallace.
No questions.
No questions from me either. You're getting off easy.
Fabulous.
Next up is agenda item 8.2, which is a first read of certain sections from chapter 5.
Well, there are several adjustments and changes in this policy. We have 5-103, which is talking about attendance and excuse. We have homeschool students at 5.106. We have 5.201, flag display, U.S. Constitution Bill of Rights. 5-202, students with disabilities, 5-203, which continues with the students with disabilities. And a 5-207 curriculum adoptions, 5-209 school libraries, media and resource center, 5-210 with special interest material, 5-212 student clubs and activities, 5-212A, oh, that's procedure. 5-214, which was course activity and programs, 5-215 loss and damages with deposits, 5-216 promotion and retention of students, 5-218 family life education, and 5-219 Arizona online instruction. The other areas for first read, we did not have any changes. Are there any questions about the policies that we were making adjustments on?
Board Member Owens,
None for me.
Board Member Mikes,
None.
Board Member Wallace.
I don't have any questions about what we're making changes on, but there was one portion that talked about reciting a part of the Constitution every day. Do our students do that?
That was one that was new for me as well. We do have, that's where the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights, Moment of Silence and Declaration of Independence. We do have the flags displayed as well as the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights in our 7th and 8th grade. The Declaration of Independence, I've added to a list to make sure that our middle school principals are aware of that. That was not on some of the information that we've done before. So no, currently we do not. We'll make that adjustment and change for the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as far as reciting it is what it says.
It
Is
is the law, and I went back and I double checked it. So it looks like that was a change that's been made. I don't know exactly when, but probably in the last year or two. Yeah.
What page is that on? I missed that one.
That is
20.
5.201. That is the flag display, U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. So let me find it
trying to find it for
on the 80 pages that we have.
Yeah. Well, we have 217.
We did not take that out. We
Yeah, there was
continue-
no changes to it. I just, as I was reading through it, it was something, and then I asked both of my children, they're like, no. Like, is this correct?
It says, a Declaration of Independence, each student in grades 4 through 6 shall recite the following passage from the Declaration of Independence at the commencement of the first class of the school day. And so it's we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Should a student or the parent or legal guardian of a student object to the recitation of the passage set forth above, the student shall not be required to participate.
Okay, so we will be potentially, if this is approved by the board, we will be implementing this as a policy that will begin in the fall.
Correct.
Okay, and can you just, for my own knowledge, because I haven't been in an elementary school in many years, tell me what else is required? I believe we do the Pledge of Allegiance.
We do the Pledge of Allegiance. Many of our schools do their school code of conduct or whatever they cite. We also do a moment of silence. Those are required.
Okay, yes, I know the moment of silent reflection is required. Okay, so that's very interesting. Okay.
Would you like me to see if I can get additional information and send this in a Friday update?
Okay, yeah, if you could get more information, because I do feel like if it is the law, of course, we want to abide by the law. But if it is not the law, then I really don't want to add something to our teachers' routines and plates that is not required.
I agree completely. I will research more of that and I will get that to you in a Friday update.
Okay. Obviously, this tonight is for discussion only. Do any other board members have any questions or comments about any of these policies? There was obviously a lot of information in here.
And I wasn't objecting. I was just hadn't seen that in practice. So
Neither have we.
I'm just going to add to that. I think it's challenging to ask a fourth grader to read this when they're not going to understand what it actually means. So, okay. Any other commentary? All right, then that is the end of item 8.2 and the end of our meeting. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Having a first from Board Member Mikes and a second from Board Member Wallace, I will call for the vote. Board Member Owens.
Yay.
Board Member Mikes.
Yay.
Board Member Wallace.
Yay.
I am also a yay. Meeting adjourned.